It's a bittersweet occasion for all of us, I know. Bitter because we're losing an important member of our community, and sweet because it gives us a chance to say thank you and to make testimony. Uh, you all know about making testimony to the contribution he's made to us here at Erikson. So thank you for coming, all of you, and we're ready to do the sweet part, and we'll worry about the bitter later tomorrow or the next day. We have a few people scheduled to say a few words, and after they've said a few words, if any of you want to come up and say a few words, we'll have enough time for you to do that as well. So I'd like to start with our wonderful vice president for, I don't know, academic affairs, our dean, our winner, Aisha Ray.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Barbara. Can you hear me in the back? Yeah. Perfect, okay. Well, this is both a bitter and a sweet moment because we are saying goodbye to Sam, who has been such a central part of our community and really has led our community for over a decade. So on behalf of all of us in this room, faculty, staff, students, and alums, I want to begin by just sincerely thanking Sam for his leadership and his stewardship of this institution for over a decade. I remember when Sam applied for this job, and in one of the interviews with faculty, someone asked, why do you want to have this position as president of Erikson Institute, given that you've had a distinguished career as an academic at the University of Michigan? Erikson's such a different kind of institution. And after the kind of jokes and levity about Chicago versus Ann Arbor and what the virtues were of both, Sam said in a very serious way that he wanted to be in an institution, and in fact to lead an institution, where everyone understood the absolute significance of early childhood, and he wanted to work to create optimal outcomes for children and families with colleagues who really got it. To Sam, Erikson was that place, and to many of us who have worked here, it is that place. But during the past years, Sam's vision, his energy, his commitment, and his leadership have significantly contributed to both maintaining Erikson's core mission, but also expanding its capacity to be the National Center for Excellence in Early Childhood. And Sam's leadership has really made a difference. I want to highlight 3 areas that demonstrate to me the importance of Sam's contributions to Erikson, and highlight what his presidency has meant for this institution. There are lots of other things to highlight, but these 3 I think are really critical. First is the institution's growth in academic programs under Sam's leadership. Now, one of the things that happens when new presidents come in is to an institution like Erikson is sometimes they want to fix what they think is problematic about the institution. Sam had the wisdom to recognize that Erikson's primary work and reputation have been built on both the excellence of its graduate programs and its professional development work, and its ability to prepare highly regarded and effective early childhood practitioners. And he had the good sense not to try to change a winning formula, but to add to it and make it better. During Sam's presidency, the number of students that we serve and educate doubled to 300. This simple fact has increased our impact on the field. But in addition to that, Sam's presidency also took our fledgling online certificate program and created an array of online degree and professional development programs and services that have enhanced our impact, again, on the field, both in the US, but also to individuals abroad who wanted this very high-quality early childhood education program that we provide. In addition, Sam's support of faculty, research, and projects through grant making, proposal development support, and advising has been tremendously helpful to the faculty's development and growth and their own individual work. And during Sam's presidency, we have developed and will soon launch a master's degree program in social work that places child development at the center of social work knowledge and practice. Sam recognized that Erikson's approach to child development would strengthen social work and that social work would expand our impact beyond early childhood. Second, Sam's tireless work on behalf of this institution has led to greater visibility and impact for Erikson. Sam's vision and leadership have expanded our service and outreach to a larger community, especially in schools, and with a wider early childhood advocacy and policy community. The New Schools Project, the Early Math Collaborative, the Technology and Early Childhood Center, also known as the Tech Center, the Her Research Center on Children and Social Policy, and the Center for Children and Families. These entities, all of which were developed under Sam's leadership, have significantly contributed to Erikson's work. But they've also made us more visible, and they've also increased our reach. Sam will be the first to tell you that he has not done these things alone. The hard work, vision, and capacities of faculty and staff have also shaped each of these efforts. But Sam's leadership has been absolutely critical in the development of these programs, projects, and centers, and in their success. Third, as many of you know, Sam is a nationally recognized expert on child assessment. He is also a tireless advocate for what is right and best for children and families. Sam's opinions and insights are sought out by local and national leaders and media on important questions related to the welfare of young children. His commitment to fairness and equity and his willingness to raise his voice, even when it's not welcomed, but to raise his voice as a champion for what we as a nation must do for all children, including the most vulnerable, has made him a recognized national leader in our field. In this role, Sam has exemplified what is essential in an Erikson president: the ability to remind us as individuals and as a nation what we must do to make sure that every child and family has what they need to optimally develop. For all of us, this work and more has been enormously important to the institution, and we are tremendously grateful to Sam. He has truly left his mark on this institution. I personally wish him the very best in his new role as the executive director of the Buffett Early Childhood Institute at the University of Nebraska. I am sure he will bring the same energy, wisdom, and commitment to his work in Nebraska that he brought to Erikson. In closing, I also want to make sure to thank Alice, Sam's wife, for all of her support of the Institute over the last 11 years. Alice, Alice, I know this was also true of Sam, but women often wind up being the people who do these things. Alice graciously opened their home every fall to our students and faculty, attended graduations, galas, and Board of Trustees dinners, and any other activity in which she was required. She has always been a warm and welcoming presence in our lives, and we are grateful to her for her support of Erikson and of Sam. So to both of you, thank you so much for your excellent service and your contribution to the Institute.
Thank you very much, Aisha. And now we have our illustrious professor from China and Erikson Institute, Jie-Qi Chen.
Well, Sam has been with us for more than 11 years. I have grown a lot during these years. I'm pleased to have this opportunity today to tell Sam directly the way that you have contributed to my development. Let me start by talking about the Early Math Project. The Early Math Collaborative is now one of the largest projects at the Erikson Institute in terms of funding, personnel, and the services. We provide Ph.D., conduct research, develop instruments, and disseminate information, to name just a few types of activity we engage in. All of these activities started with a conversation I had with Sam about 7 years ago. In response to one of Sam's emails, and he always does this, saying, "Send me a couple of paragraphs about your ideas so that I can shop around for funding." I wrote a concept paper entitled Early Math Education, from Teacher Development to Child Learning Outcomes. Sam read the paper right away and edited with the track change. And right away, that's true. And we talked and talked. He took the idea to the founders, and boom, the Early Math Project was born in 2007. Over the years, Sam has helped Early Math team succeed in countless ways. For example, when the Department of Education announced the I3 grant funding, he encouraged me to apply. But I was hesitant because an early proposal I submitted was rejected by the Department of Education. Sam told me, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Give it a try. Rejection in the grant writing business is a common experience. I was rejected so many times in the early years of my career. Do not let rejection stop you. This encouraging voice stays with me today. During the I3 grant writing process, Sam and I had many conversations. We went back and forth about ideas, arguments, possible external evaluators, and the organization of the proposal. Toward the end of the proposal period, I was out of the country. Sam worked side by side with Jennifer on many occasions. For example, he advised her to gather external evaluators to join in the grant writing process, offering their valuable expertise and the language to strengthen the program evaluation section. He answered a phone call from Jennifer at 11 p.m. for proposal-related questions. We all know that Sam is an early bird. He usually gets up to work around 5 o'clock in the morning. Lots of us receive email from him that time. By 11 o'clock at night, he had probably worked 17 to 18 hours for the day. In every way, Sam went above and beyond to support us in this very challenging and significant grant writing process. And our hard work paid off. We became one of the 49 grantees among nearly 1,700 applicants for I3 grants. Further, our proposal was ranked 8th. Sam played a vital role in this process. Without his help, the Early Math Project would not be where it is today. So on behalf of the entire Early Math team, Sam, thank you for helping us make this vision a reality. Everyone who has worked with Sam knows that he is a clear thinker and excellent writer. As a second language learner who did not start learning the ABCs until age 22. I would benefit so much from Sam's reviews and edits of my writing. Every time I had opportunity, an appointment with Sam, he was prepared. He asked me questions, challenged my thinking, sharpened my mind, and made valuable suggestions. Such tasks are sure not in his job description. And in fact, he gets little credit by doing all these tasks. He does it and does it with such generosity and goodwill. Sam is a visionary leader. He knows the field and has a clear sense of its development. He knows not only what to do next, but also what not to pursue. Let me give you one example here. In 2003, I was invited by CPS administrator to help administer the National Reporting System, a high-stakes achievement test administered to all 4 and 5-year-olds in Head Start. As soon as Sam learned about this, he said to me, "I don't want you to get involved." Why? This is not a right thing to do. It does more harm than good to children. He was direct. Frankly, I was not happy at the time about his comment. But time proved that he was absolutely right. The test was suspended within 2 years because of its yield conceptualized constructs and inappropriate approach. Thank you, Sam, for modeling the critical importance of not losing sight of what to do while looking for funding opportunities. Sam is a caring colleague. When he learned that I was diagnosed with cancer in 2002, he asked Alice to put me in touch with doctors to get a second opinion. And Sam and Alice sat down with me, listened to my concerns, talking over different opinions, and reassuring me that everything would be okay. At one of the most vulnerable times in my life, such care and support meant a lot and did a lot to help me get over the hurdle of the diagnosis and bravely face the challenges ahead. Friend Stott once said to me that the best way to get to know someone is to travel with him or her. I was fortunate to accompany Sam and a friend on a 10-day trip to China in 2006, which provided me a unique opportunity to get to know Sam. He was observant, and I have many stories that I won't have time to share here. And he connected with children instantly. Sam was presidential when dealing with business matters, but he was such fun and shared his great sense of humor when our day's work was done. At his last meeting with faculty, Sam expressed sadness about his departure. He said, "There are so many unfinished projects that he had hoped to continue here." It is true. There is unfinished business that Sam has left for us to do. However, Sam, this signifies the large terrain you have led us to explore over the last 11 years. These unfinished projects hold challenges, but also developments, uncertainties, but also also opportunities to expand and thrive. As well, many of these unfinished initiatives have had healthy formative years. The Early Math Collaborative, for example, is only 6 years old, but with your help, we have experienced healthy growth. The success of these early years are a strong foundation for our continued development. Sam is leaving us in a week or so to undertake a new endeavor with new promises and the challenges ahead of him. I wish you all of the best, Sam. We're looking for news of your new venture with the Buffett Early Childhood Institute. I will miss you, Sam. Your experience, your wisdom, your guidance, your edits, and simply the time sitting in your office to chat with you. Our early math team will miss you as well, your involvement and your steadfast support. Sam, as you have told our graduates for the last 11 years during the commencement, although they leave us, they are always on our minds and in our hearts. Now, this message is for you. Thank you.
I think we all say that was lovely, Jackie. And thank you for expressing our ideas. And now we have Linda Gilkerson, who's going to do something very special.
Yeah, I think Jackie's comments remind us it really is a family. It really is an Erikson family. Well, I've known Sam since 1978, so I have a chance to tell you a little bit about Sam before he came to Erikson. We actually met 35 years ago when we were toddlers. Professional toddlers, actually. The world was truly our oyster then. I think we first met at Children's Hospital in Boston. Sam was there at the Developmental Evaluation Clinic, and I was with the Child Development Unit. And we were passionate about young children. We'd had experience with children with disabilities. We were fascinated with infancy and all that was happening in the field. And we were both in awe of the work of Heidi Alls and Barry Brazelton, two wonderful people whom we together would nominate 34 years later to receive honorary degrees at Erikson. During that time, I wrote and received my first grant for parents and infants called Project Welcome. And who did I turn to first but Sam? How do I do this, Sam? How do we evaluate this? How should I structure it? And he came to help me, quickly gave me very astute advice about how to restructure it, how to solve some problems I was facing, and how to make it much stronger. When you ask Sam for help, he delivers. He's there. Sam and I made another friend at that time, Jack Shonkoff. Keeping with this developmental theme, I talked with Jack, and he said, Sam and I met when we were children. And I said, preschoolers, you mean? He said, right, preschoolers. Together, these two went on to edit the first handbook of early childhood intervention. Jack says, we were both new in our careers when we did this, and we invited people who were much more senior than we were to contribute to this book. As the chapters came in, these two youngsters had a rude awakening. The very senior people turned in chapters that were basically, in Jack's words, sucked. We looked at each other and said, oh my God, what do we do? We are the new guys. How do we tell our heroes that their work is not acceptable? So they divided the list and began to make the calls. And one of the first pioneers they contacted said, you guys are taking this editing stuff much too seriously. A refrain that can be heard down the halls of Erikson to this day. But they gave each other the courage to do what they needed to do. And in the end produced a book which every chapter they were proud of. Jack said, oh God, this is painful, I'll never do it again. And they did, with a second edition, which is still selling, and I hear there's a third one potentially in the making. Sam is one of the best persons, as Jackie said, to take on a hard task with. he will truly share the load. More than 50-50, emails starting at 5:30. We all know his high standards, his incredible fearlessness in advocacy for what's right, his tireless pursuit of excellence, and his love for punctuation. It's all true. During Sam's professional middle childhood, he took on another major task for which he's internationally famous, and in some circles infamous: early childhood assessment. And this really began back in Massachusetts when he was director of the Elliott Pearson School for Children. And the city of Medford asked him to figure out how in the world do we screen all these kindergartners that the state is now requiring that we do. We have no idea. And they turned to Sam. He accepted this challenge, and as he would do, he did his homework very thoroughly and found that there was not one test available that he thought was right, and he didn't like them a bit. He felt they made no sense for young children, and they even could be harmful to them. So he decided to develop his own with his longtime colleague and dear friend, Dot Marsden. So they developed a screening tool for 4- and 5-year-olds, and later included 3-year-olds in it, and completed the Herculean task of a national validation of this tool for 3-, 4-, and 5-year-olds. Incredible work, incredible funding was needed, and an incredible task to be completed. Sam thought it was done. His colleague and friend, Dot Marsden, came over to his house one day, and Alice was there too, with some troubling news to deliver. Sam, she says, this tool just doesn't work for 3-year-olds. She remembers how he looked at that moment. Alice turned to Sam and said, "Well, Sam, you're just going to have to do something about that." Dot says she can still see his face as she watched him bite the bullet, take a deep breath and say, "We'll just have to start all over again." And that they did, a national restandardization of a new screening tool which really was better for 3-year-olds. Sam is a stickler for getting things right. For getting things right for children. He does not cut corners. He mobilizes again and again to find the funds that are needed to do the projects that he values, the projects that we value, that improve life for children and families. Because Sam's expertise spans so many areas that we value at Erikson, and so many of us knew him, when we were ready to choose a new president, the choice was clear. In fact, we almost had to be reminded to have a search committee. Sam was with us as a consultant as we explored this, and then came the official search. I was not on the search committee, but I was on Sam's call list. What's happening now, Linda? I haven't heard. Can you find it in any news? I don't think I can wait anymore. Perhaps this is the disequilibrium that comes with developmental change. I saw Sam's passion mixed with anxiety and urgency. A person of action and reaction, a real human being. When Sam arrived at Erikson, he began to make changes right away. This was a new regime for sure. When Barbara's presidency began, she bought us each a set of coasters to put on our desks so we would not make watermarks on our wood desk. One of Sam's first moves after setting up a dress code was to declare that we would no longer have to change our own light bulbs. But some paid person, would actually get that long pole and do it for us. And after there was light, then came his next revelation. Erikson needed a permanent home. And Jeanne will talk to you about that. And not so long after came his commitment to a tenure system for faculty and to shared governance, lifting Erikson into an academic institution appropriate for the quality and promise of its faculty and its students. As Sam transitioned to Erikson, he was also president of 0 to 3. And I talked with Matthew Melman, who was the executive director and knew Sam through this transition. Matthew said, "I loved having Sam president of 0 to 3. He was amazing and accessible, full of energy and drive. I valued his counsel. And I watched him make this transition from academia, a professor and research scientist with important responsibilities for his area, to president with responsibilities for a whole institute, with direct line managerial authority, responsibility for a budget, balancing all the many constituencies that are there, and moving from when you are not the president of the board, but when you report to and are responsible to a board. It made me think of the learning curve that Sam has come through in this demanding role, and the learning curve that our new president will have when he or she joins us. Sam, you've set a high bar and one that will be a challenge to match or exceed. You've heard from Aisha and Jie-Qi about many of their experiences with Sam here, and I'll just share the Fussy baby story. I actually received some critical advice from two presidents. First, Barbara said to me, "All babies cry. No one will fund that idea." Unless you have some data. And she was exactly right. We did an emergency room study and found out that many parents brought their babies to the emergency room because they didn't know how to handle the crying. So Sam came, and Sam said, "That's an amazing idea. Here's how we can get it funded." And he linked us with the Doris Duke Charitable Foundation 11 years ago, one of his first, I think, matches that he made. And since then, we have served over 7,000 children and families. We have national sites in 9 states. We're funded by the healthcare legislation to infuse our approach into one of the national evidence-based models. And we've brought tons of funds to the Erikson Institute. We were a pathfinder, I think, to set the Center for Children and Families apace, which is Sam's legacy project for children. And we'll live on. There are so many different things that have been mentioned. The HER Center, the Technology Center, New Schools, the Head Start Transition Project, and Math Project. These incredible accomplishments are yours, Sam. And they're ours together, all of us together. These have been remarkable years under your leadership. You're not leaving as an elder statesman. You're leaving to go back to the field with the same energy and enthusiasm you had when we met 34 years ago. In fact, I heard that you gave a talk in Nebraska to 1,400 people, and someone tracked you down by email and said to you that, "I can't believe you're as old as you are," because you look 30 years younger. You have so much enthusiasm for what you do. One of Sam's first acts in decorating his office when he came was to put an 8x10 photo of Alice by his side, his evoked companion, his rock, his compass, his heart. Then came the pictures of the children, and over time, the grandchildren. Reba, Sam and Alice's daughter, says of her parents, "I swell with pride when I think of them." She said, "They taught me and Seth how to be who we are, and we can pass that on. They are so genuine, so caring, so devoted. They are the rarest of gems." I'd like to take a moment to shine a light now on Alice, Sam's partner. As Aisha said, Alice, you've welcomed faculty, students, board members, and donors into your home and into your life. By my count, you've given over 70 tours of your small apartment to probably 400 students, taking delight in each one of them, in those small moments that you had with them, discovering who they were, and helping them, even in that short period of time, discover something about themselves. There's a magic that Alice brings to her presence. Erikson could not have had a more loving or giving friend or astute presidential advisor. Erikson is your legacy, too. With deep appreciation and much love, we'd like to give you Erikson's cherished symbol, the yellow rose, which is given to all of our graduates, a sign of our deep respect, our warm friendship, and your lifelong membership in the Erikson family. Will you please come forward to receive your yellow roses? Together, you and Sam will make Nebraska the best place to have a baby.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda. And now we have Jeanne Lockridge who's going to say a few words and stay around afterwards.
Yes, ma'am.
script here. Well, I beat Sam to Erikson by, 4 months? So we first met over breakfast on a Saturday morning at some greasy spoon on the north side. It was summer of 2001. I was interviewing for what is now Michael's job, and Sam was the president-elect. I had met all the other people I would be working with, the indomitable Barbara, the incomparable Fran, the amazing enrollment staff, Marvel and Valerie. Fran thought I should meet the incoming president and that he should meet me before any decision was made about whether I would be joining the Erikson family. I'm not sure I ate anything, what with all the intense conversation. And besides, I've never felt comfortable chewing during a job interview. But I left the restaurant even more convinced, if I needed to be, that Erikson was where I wanted to spend the rest of my working life. It was so clear that Sam would pick up the torch from Barbara and continue to run with it, and that the race, if you'll forgive this rather familiar metaphor, but we are Chicago and we do have the Chicago Marathon, and that this race was of the utmost importance. The very lives of our nation's youngest citizens depended on it. It was also clear that I would be continuously challenged to keep up with him. Sam's sense of urgency, the sense that there was no time to lose, was palpable then over our bacon and eggs, and has persisted through these 11 plus years. And I think I speak for most of us when I say I feel like I've been running hard ever since. During that long ago breakfast, taking a page out of some book on interviewing techniques, I was bold. This was bold for me. I was bold enough to say that I hoped at some point I would have a seat at the table. I think I used those very words. Before I knew it, in March 2002, I found myself sitting in a conference room, surrounded by alpha males from the Chicago real estate world. I was to staff the new facilities committee of the board in the race against time to find a new home for Erikson before our lease expired at 420 North Wabash. Any of you remember 420 North Wabash? I was terrified. What was an English major like me doing it at this particular table? But Sam trusted me, and because of his trust, I trusted myself. And thus we embarked on what has undoubtedly been the most fulfilling chapter of my professional career. I have felt his support and trust throughout our many years of working together. And I learned that trust is a very empowering thing. Over the years, I have slowly morphed from the Dean of Enrollment Management into the Vice President for everything else. My real title, in case you didn't know. The reason is because Sam has given me so many opportunities to stretch myself and to test myself with new challenges. Every time I finished one thing, and it was kind of, like when we moved into the building, and I was thinking, my God, what am I going to do now? Sam handed me a new and unfamiliar task. So, there have been many remarkable milestones along the way in this race. Maybe it's our race to the top, Erikson's race to the top, in which we have all shared, all of us here at Erikson. And here are a few that stand out for me. May 2002, the first graduation that was not held in Barbara's backyard, because with 32 graduates, we had outgrown it. All that unaccustomed pomp and circumstance nearly did us in. Afterwards, Sam quietly handed me a graduation script from the University of Michigan so we could see how the pros did it. And our graduations have run like clockwork ever since. And by the way, this year's graduation script was 34 pages long. Okay, September 2003, the year we added a third cohort of new master's degree students to accommodate our growth. October 4th, 2006, the day Sam and the board chair, Dick Kiphart, signed the purchase and sale agreement for Erikson's first permanent home, following almost 2 fascinating years. Really, these were amazing years, during which we toured 40 properties in the Loop, the West Side, and River North, mostly old warehouses with a zillion columns in them, before settling on our present campus. Fran, Sam, and I climbed up defunct water towers, toured dubious sub-basements, rode on industrial freight elevators, all the time trying to imagine the spaces filled with classrooms and offices. It's the most fun I have ever had on a job. Okay, January 18th, 2007, groundbreaking on a frigid winter's day with Sam and trustees surrounded by a bunch of cute kids in yellow hard hats. That's when this place was still an asphalt parking lot. September 2007, the year we added a fourth cohort of new master's degree students, funded by ISB and taught at the College of DuPage. August the 4th, 2008, the first day in our new campus. Forget the fact that it was raining, the main elevators didn't work, the staircase wasn't finished, and everyone had to ride up in the freight elevator. It was still a happy conclusion of 6 years of planning and hard work. October 18th, 2008, our official ribbon-cutting ceremony with Sam, Barbara, Virginia Bobbins, and Maggie Daly doing the honors, under the watchful eyes of Mayor Daly, Alderman Riley. Was Arnie Duncan here? Couldn't remember. And many of our trustees and many of you and other friends. It was really a grand occasion. A couple of other things have been mentioned. January 2nd, 2010, the launch of our first online master's degree program, funded by the Boeing Company with 20 students. October 6th, 2011, the celebration at Norm and Virginia Bobbins' home of the successful conclusion of our 5-year capital campaign, during which we exceeded our $30 million goal by almost $20 million, if you count everything that we raised during those years. And we've already mentioned the significant future milestone just coming into view, the 2014 launch of a Master of Social Work, which will really be a bold new venture. There are many others that I could mention. There are many milestones that you all remember. All of these, we have been led through all of these by Sam. And in addition to all the work, Sam and I have shared the joys of becoming grandparents. We've shared a love of classical music, and we're both amateur singers. So we've swapped some stories about that. So Sam, it's been a great race. Of course it isn't over. It won't ever be over. And the next stage is about to begin for you and Alice at Nebraska and for us here at Erikson. But I want to thank you for myself, for all the support and opportunities you've given me over the years, and for the Institute, for your leadership and passionate commitment to Erikson and to young children everywhere. So thank you.
Sam, could you come up here? Oh, I forgot. Does anyone else like to have say a word? We've got a minute. Got 2 minutes. I think we'll move ahead then.
Then let me first of all present.
You want to do that first?
We want to present our gift.
Disorganized.
Our little our choreography.
We did very well so far.
So Sam, as a in memory of your years here, and the most tangible legacy. This is a picture of our building, and Sam with these children wearing their yellow hard hats on that frigid January morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're not finished yet. Come on. We would like to also give you a plaque. And I'd like to read what the plaque says. I can. It says, standard bearer for early childhood education on the national stage, widely influential scholar, consummate networker, campus builder, passionate policy advocate, insistent on doing what is best for children, respected leader whose high standards, enthusiasm, energy, and big ideas have immeasurably improved life for children and families and communities. As president of Erikson Institute, he built on its history of accomplishments, cultivating an entrepreneurial spirit among its faculty and staff, increasing its visibility and impact, and ensuring that young children, especially the most vulnerable, continue to have a champion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, I do want to thank everyone. Thank you, Barbara. Want to sit? Feel free. I'm not going to speak that long, though. Mostly I feel filled with gratitude. I'm filled with tears because I'm a very emotional person, and so you have to forgive me that. Those of you who were at graduation this year know that's who I am, and many of you know it anyhow. I should have brought my red pen, if only I had known, but I wouldn't have had to use it today because such beautiful words were said so beautifully, and I'm so grateful to everyone for the things you said, and I feel like you know me, and you can't beat that when people speak of you and they say such wonderful things, and they say things that reach your heart, and that's what you've done, and of course that's what Erikson has done for me for all these years. I have worked very hard, as you work so hard, but I work so hard because I love what I do. I love doing this with you. I love what we build and what we have built and what you will build after me. When I said at the faculty meeting, as Jie-Qi said, that I have so much unfinished work, it's because I want to keep building and keep helping you build. That's the great joy of jobs like Barbara and I have had here, is to help you build the things that you do. And we've had wonderful, wonderful help to do that. Working closely with Fran, who's in Spain right now, I know she'd be here. Working closely with Fran. She taught me to keep my hands off the program right away. No problem about that. I mean, I wasn't so smart. I was smart enough to hear her and listen to her and do it. And all of you who know Fran know you really don't have any choice about listening and doing what she says anyhow. You're in trouble if you don't. And you're doing the right thing by listening. And of course, I found a great program, and as someone said yesterday in another one of these events, but very different event, not family event, I made a great program greater. And so, I have always known this wasn't me, this was everybody, and this was the history. And for many years, I used to say, the main thing I'm trying to do is not screw this up, because it's so good, and let's make it even more good. Let's make it even better. I've had wonderful vice presidents who've worked with me, and I have them now, four wonderful vice presidents. And I'm proud of this, because these are four strong women, right? And my wife, Alice, who beautiful things were said of for a beautiful woman who deserves every bit of those words. But you know, she's a strong woman too, so she's trained me to try to work. And there are these times we'd be in these meetings, you know, and I'd say, you know, I'm here too. Hello, I'm here too. And you know, you have to be the one man in the room with four very strong, very smart, very able and effective women to know what that is. And it was great, and it is great. And I'm again deeply grateful for that. I actually remember the first time I ever thought of becoming president of Erikson Institute, and it was Linda who said that to me. Do you remember? So this was at 0 to 3. We had some kind of big event in Washington, D.C., and at that time I was a candidate for dean at Michigan, which I never got, fortunately for me, and hopefully, given what was said today, for you too. Forgive me for saying that. I remember Linda said something to me like, "What are you doing these days?" And I said, "Oh, I'm a candidate for this job, and I really want this job, and I hope I get it," or something like that. I mean, I was really focused on that. And she said, "Oh, you should become president of Erikson someday." Someday, you know, there was someone in the job at that moment. And I remember that, and I also remember another time I sat down with Barbara here in Chicago, and at the Standard Club for breakfast. You came over, and I think you were actually trying to interest me in becoming the director of the Her Research Center. And I thought to myself, you know what? I think I'd rather have her job. But I had to wait quite a few years for that. And just one last story about becoming president of Erikson Institute. It was a fairly extended process of engagement, and you weren't the only person on the call list. Robert is here. Robert knows how many times I called him, because Robert and I have been friends not as long, but for now some 30 years, from Ann Arbor. And I used to call him and say, "What's happening? You know, how long do I have to wait?" So at one point, our friend, a friend of many of ours, Lynn Kagan, called me up and she said, "You know, there's this other job. You could become president of this other place. I know you could do it." And I said, "I don't want to become a college president. I want to become president of Erikson Institute." And that's all I wanted. And I'm very grateful that I have had this chance to be the president of Erikson Institute. There is nothing else I have wanted to do throughout all of these years. And leaving here is very hard for me, but I'm not looking for sympathy. I just want you to know I don't leave easily. I didn't make the decision easily. I love you, and I love what we've done. I'm the kind of person who needs, on occasion, a new challenge yet, and I have that before me. And it's quite remarkable, and as far as I know, the only thing that I would want to do. And I'm happy for that, to be able to do that. But leaving here is really very, very bittersweet. And I'm not sure what the sweetness is, actually. I know what the bitterness is. And I will always take Erikson with me in my heart, that's for sure. I will always try to stay in touch, and I hope you will always try to stay in touch. I will always do for you everything I can. And I'm going to have a lot of trouble making this jump from we being us to we being some other group, but I'll always be part of this we. At least I hope you'll always let me be part of this we. I always am there, and there's so many things people I want to keep helping and doing things for. And then finally, let me just say that when I made that announcement that I was leaving, I got a lot of emails from friends and people about that, very positive things. People said to me very kind things. And Denise, where's Denise? Denise put those together for me in a book that she just gave me yesterday. It was very, very beautiful. And you know, I couldn't be doing the things I've done here if it weren't for Denise. And we wouldn't have today, I'm sure, if it weren't for Denise, too, and David and many other people. And I can't start to thank individuals because it's everybody. But so I got an email from Vanessa Rich, who, you know, had Start today in the city. And Vanessa's a member of our family, our extended family as well. And she wrote something to me that was very beautiful, and I just want to share this one phrase from you. She said that she hopes that I continue toppling ogres and championing children. And that's what I intend to do, topple ogres and champion children. And I encourage all of you to do that always, at all times. Doesn't matter. That's what our job is. Our job is to do the right thing for kids. And I know you will. That's what Erikson is known for, and I will keep doing that too. So I wish you well, and I'll always be with you. And I hope that we go from strength to strength here at Erikson. Thank you very, very much.
Sam, thank you very much. And, you know, Sam will be here. Please come and give him your personal greetings. And I can only say to you what we say about voting in the Chicago. Come early and come often.